Black Swan, Jiaoqiu, Lingsha, Cypher, and Ceridra. What do all of these characters have in common? That's right, they're bad. They are a waste of your pulls. They're not game-breaking, and they don't offer enough. They are just minor upgrades. Hello everyone, my name is Christian, and today I'm going to tell you about the history and consistent success of minor upgrades and side grades in Honkai Star Rail. Let's begin. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing down below. It helps out a lot, and I would very much appreciate it. Also, we have channel memberships now that get you cool perks like early access to videos, or even the ability to request a video all on your own. Alright, back to the video. Star Rail is a game built on teams and archetypes. Every individual character has a purpose they fulfill for these set archetypes. A lot of characters have managed to find success across the board, being a useful piece for multiple top teams. These would be characters like Triby, Sunday, and Robin. There are also characters who carry an entire archetype or niche on their back. An example of this would be Ranmei and Fugue for Break, or even Kafka for DOT. Characters like this are usually massively popular, and are the favorites of many players both story and gameplay-wise. That's not what we're talking about today though. I want to talk about the others. The characters who are often hated and criticized, because they aren't like the characters that I mentioned above. They aren't good for every single team. They don't bring all new mechanics or a new form of damage to the team. They have kits similar to other characters, or do things that can be replicated by other characters. As a result of this, these characters are often downplayed, with people saying they serve very little purpose over already existing characters. This is what a minor upgrade character is in Star Rail. Or side grade. I will use them interchangeably. This isn't part of the script. I'm just saying that now. I will use it interchangeably. And without fail, the community is always wrong about these characters. Don't believe me? Well, let's go to our first case then, with Black Swan. Black Swan was a Win Nihility character released in version 2.0, and she serves as a damage dealer for DOT teams. While DOT was dormant for a long time, Black Swan was released at a point where Kafka was still good, but needed some more firepower to keep up with the other meta units. Black Swan was meant to be the answer to this, as a character who stacks DOT at an incredible rate and can massively increase damage taken. Now, I wasn't in the HSR community at this point, I was more so just a casual player playing on my own, so this is an event I can't speak on personally. But according to an extremely biased source that used the best possible situation for Sampo and the worst for Black Swan was supposedly only 10% better than Sampo. So a minimal upgrade that was basically useless. I don't know how this happened, or spread so heavily, but it was a massive thing in the HSR community apparently. This piece of misinformation was widespread, and as such, it greatly hurt Black Swan's reputation amongst players. As a quick side note from a future perspective here, how is a character with vulnerability, defense shred, and multiple multi-target attacks seen as mediocre? That is actually insane to me. I digress though, moving on. Let's take a look at Black Swan now. Acting as the third piece for the triple DOT lineup, her services are hard to replace by anything but premium supports like Robin or Ranmei. Due to her unique kit with vulnerability and defense shred, she works perfectly with the newest DOT character, Highlands. Combined, they increase damage by over 60% due to defense shred and vulnerability multipliers. She was also the go-to choice for buffed Kafka, outputting a massive amount of damage for her to detonate. Black Swan, while far from the best Nihility character nowadays, is far from a side grade as well. No other character can replicate what she does with similar investment besides the best characters in the game. She also serves a drastically different purpose from those characters as well, freeing them up for your other teams, while Black Swan is still arguably the top option for DOT. Let's now compare this to Sampo. Yeah, never call her a side grade again. Something viewers will notice about this list today, there's a shocking amount of specifically Nihility characters. I don't know what the deal with that is, but Nihility characters just cause a lot of drama, I suppose. This applies to the very next character on the list too, in Jiaoqiu. Jiaoqiu is a Fire Nihility 5-star, released all the way back in version 2.4. He is an interesting character. If you've been around my channel recently, you would know my thoughts on the matter, but Jiaoqiu is very, very disappointing nowadays. He's pretty underpowered, and many characters have been brought up to do the exact same job as him. We have Triby, who offers res pen and increased damage, not to mention, she's already a nuke all by herself. We have Cypher, who has a defense down cone and vulnerability. Silverwolf with her buffs can inflict over 50% defense shred all on her own, and then there's Jiaoqiu. He simply struggles to keep up nowadays. He's heavily reliant on skill points, and his niche is oversaturated with options that kinda just work better together than he does. This is the perspective of nowadays, however. Let's jump back to version 2.4, where Jiaoqiu was considered a marginal upgrade over not Silverwolf, but the true best Acheron support, Pela. Yeah. Early HSR was hilarious, man. With Jiaoqiu reportedly receiving various nerfs during his development, many players were immensely disappointed when he came out with far more limited utility than most wanted. This, in my opinion, is what contributed to his negative reputation early on. Which, I'm not gonna lie, is kinda stupid, but hey, oh well. Jiaoqiu's actual kit on release was far from bad though, and in my opinion, absolutely cleared Pela for two reasons. They both apply debuffs every ult, every basic attack, and every skill. Jiaoqiu, however, will also generate a debuff stack every time an enemy moves, while still moving a bunch similar to Pela. The second reason is the actual damage number provided. Jiaoqiu with his light cone offers around 50% vulnerability, and therefore 50% more damage. While this alone wasn't more than a combined Silverwolf and Pela, there's another key difference. Jiaoqiu can hit multiple targets. Silverwolf was single target until her buffs. All enemies overall taking more damage with a character like Acheron who hits all targets, that is extremely beneficial. Even then, Jiaoqiu's advantages don't end there. Because of his raw ability to get debuff stacks, he was an incredible character to run with a support like Sparkle. Especially in the case of Aventurine or Gallagher as your sustain, who can both inflict a debuff as well to add to Acheron's limit. This can make up a bit for the lack of stacks, while still getting a massive damage boost thanks to having a true support. All in all, Jiaoqiu, while not a perfect character, was incredibly good for Acheron, and took her to another level up until the release of Cypher. He's also still good, but in a more niche sense now, being incredible for Acheron and pure fiction specifically. If you ask me, he is far from a simple side grade. Okay, so the next character on our list is, confusing, to say the least. She isn't a side grade, but she also isn't even in the same niche anymore. Let's explain the anomaly that is Lingsha. Lingsha is a fire abundance 5-star released in version 2.5. She specializes in two things: break and follow-up attacks. She was another offensive-minded sustain, added after the success of Aventurine. With an ult that increases break damage taken, constant healing thanks to her ult and follow-ups, and good damage with her gaining attack for high break effect, Lingsha sounds like a great character on paper. Who could she be a side grade for, you may ask? A 4-star. And not just any 4-star, the greatest 4-star in HSR history. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. 13 years old himself, Gallagher. Upon release, these two characters were heavily linked to each other for a very clear reason. Their main identities are linked to break. Gallagher requires break effect for his healing, and Lingsha gains outgoing healing and attack by having a decent break stat. They both contribute heavily to weakness breaking as well, with Gallagher's ult and enhanced basic attack super good for shredding enemies down, and Lingsha with her constant attacks. These were meant to be the break sustains at that point, but that's not really how the game has worked out. It's very strange, but neither of these characters serve their original purpose anymore. Gallagher has turned out to be a greater sustain than ever imagined, due to his ability to regenerate skill points at lightning speed without sacrificing his healing output. He can still be useful for break, but most players just use him elsewhere. He's a great option for DOT, Castress if you have no Hyacinth, Archer teams, Aglaia teams. He is universally helpful. Lingsha, on the other hand, she can still be useful in quite a few places, and is a great option for healing break teams. There's just one problem. Break teams don't really use healers anymore. For many players, running Fugue, Ron May, and HMC or an Action Advancer for Boot Hill specifically is much more advantageous and is just better than having a sustain if you can manage it. This is because most break teams can be built to be very sturdy, with Boot Hill and Firefly being the best examples of this. With break no longer needing healers as often, where does that really leave Lingsha? Well, as a main DPS. Players have genuinely turned this character, who is a healer, into their primary carry. While a bit of investment into Eidolons or teammates is needed, it is very much a real strat that can work well in certain areas like pure fiction. This often outperforms Boot Hill and Firefly in the mode as well, since Lingsha is AoE based. I'm not gonna lie, Lingsha is simply a confusing character. While she was seen as a side grade, both her and her other character basically moved on from the niche for most players? What? That's completely unheard of as far as I know. I feel like I'm being a cop-out on this one, but there isn't much left to compare anymore. Lingsha serves a wildly different purpose than Gallagher, and both are still great in their own ways. They function completely differently too, so unlike comparing Jiaoqiu and Pela, there isn't a comparison to truly make anymore. With that, I feel confident in saying Lingsha isn't a side grade. That conclusion just didn't really happen how you would expect it to. Alright, well, did you guys miss Nihility? God, I hope so, because here comes the kitty phantom thief herself, Cypher. Not only one of my personal favorite characters, but also one of the most heavily disrespected in the entire game, and it's not close. She served as the primary inspiration for this video, so strap yourself in, folks. I have a lot to say about the demigod of trickery. Cypher is a Quantum Nihility 5-star released in version 3.3, and she serves a similar role to another character we've talked about today in Jiaoqiu. She's a debuffer with a massive damage amp pairing well with many main DPS. She also has one of the most unique ultimates in the game, gaining strength every time the team overall does damage. With a design like this, how could anyone say she's a side grade? Well, apparently. It was pretty easy. Cypher upon reveal and release was one of the most notably disliked characters I've seen playstyle-wise. She was very well received in the story, but that was not enough to make up for the failures of her kit to many players. She was listed as an upgrade for Fei Xiao teams, which have been underperforming for average players, and a downgrade from Jiaoqiu and Acheron teams. Cypher suffered a similar fate to our poor Foxboy, being reportedly nerfed in development to the point people became very upset with the character. This led to waves and waves of comments and videos saying that Cypher was a poor investment, not offering anything of value to any specific team. As such, she was worthless and a waste of pulls. This hateful propaganda worked and fast, with Cypher stock plummeting all the way down to hell. By any metric I can find, she was one of the least pulled for characters in the entire game. That is tragic. 1, because I like the funny cat, but 2, because it's insane how wrong people were. My first note here, which is unrelated but still needs to be said, Cypher was a general support and the community was screaming and crying since she didn't have a specific place to fit in. Then we got Ceridra, who has a very clear niche and spot to fit in, and players complained she isn't a universal support. Back to the point, players were right. Cypher didn't have one single spot to fit in. However, there's something important to remember about Honkai Star Rail. If you play any endgame content mode at all, you need 2 teams. You can only have a 1 Sunday, 1 Tribby, 1 Robin. Who's gonna fill those slots on the other team? Well, let me introduce you to Cypher. Cypher is the first side grade character on the list who is exactly that, a side grade. But tell me, how good is a side grade for one of the best characters in the game? Correct, still really good. Cypher is a perfect replacement for Tribby or really any other defense shred vulnerability character. She has a follow-up attack, an extremely high damage amp, she can be SP friendly, and has a unique mechanic to differentiate herself. A character doing the same thing as another is seen as bad, but when what they do is good, why should we be upset at that? This is without mentioning that for Acheron teams, Cypher is actually an optimal teammate now. You can run her and Silverwolf together to get the most optimal pairing for Acheron. She also still heavily helps Fei Xiao follow-up teams, gaining a bunch from the constant damage output those teams are known for. She is more than a worthwhile character, and many players were deluded into not seeing the truth that was so obviously in front of them. As an extra bonus as well, Cypher has one of the best light cones in the game. It's amazing for her and anyone else in the Nihility path who's not a main DPS. While I definitely have a strong bias towards Cypher, and have glossed over some issues that she may have, my statement has still been made loud and clear. Cypher was always a good character. May not have been revolutionary for the average player, but that's their loss. She is capable of some incredible things, and being degraded into nothing but a sub-optimal pickup is something the HSR community should never do again. Well, that was a more passionate rant than an analytical perspective, so let's close this out with the final character of the day, Ceridra. I alluded to it during the Cypher section, but Ceridra's reception aggravates me a lot. When characters are too general, we complain. When characters are too specific, we complain. While I can't use Ceridra personally, her existence is honestly something that I like a lot. Having everything be a general purpose support makes things outdated way faster. It also makes things way more stagnant, with even less intrigue in the concept of making a unique team. It would all boil down to the 2 new supports with biggest numbers, and bam, you've done it, and you do that for every team, while every other team fights for scraps. Ceridra? She's not like that. She fits one mold, and is perfect for it, which also means freeing up other characters from that team to be used with others, especially your more general purpose characters who don't have any single home. Star Rail strayed away from this for a while, but me personally, I'm super happy to see it back. Now, with my preamble done, let's actually talk about Ceridra. Ceridra is a Wind Harmony 5-star, and was the newest support to be added to Honkai Star Rail. Say it with me, folks, she was hated on reveal. Ceridra isn't a minor upgrade in the usual way, which is pretty interesting considering the rest of the characters on this list. Her mechanic is completely new, and only on her for the time being. Ceridra can replicate an ally character's skill. For every skill the character uses, the charge counter goes up. When it reaches 6, the next skill a character uses is duplicated, with increased damage on both uses. Pretty cool mechanic overall in my opinion, just highly niche. That in itself was the problem with Ceridra. She is stated by most players to be a replaceable option, and extremely mediocre for even her 2 best characters, Anexa and Finan. This one is just ridiculous. I genuinely cannot understand this. You get to drop a million damage meteor twice in a row, or pop the Glock 4 times in a row. What are we doing here? I think a big contributing factor to the reception of Ceridra is her versus other characters. She is incredibly niche, being one of the only characters to have the partner ++ tag on Pridwin, with the other one being her lesbian life partner, Hyselins. This means she can really only be used properly by a few characters, with any other option surpassing her in most cases. This is a fair criticism. She is objectively only built for a few units currently. Just getting someone like Sunday or Robin would overall be way better for your account. That isn't the point though. This character is a massive benefit to the characters that she is meant for. She is not a minor upgrade. She is a mechanic completely unique to her that is unbelievably powerful. You can maybe make the argument that for knowledgeable and well-invested players, it's a smaller upgrade. I'll still disagree with you, but you can make it for sure. Ceridra to me is one of the biggest losers of the minor upgrade side grade curse. This is an awesome mechanic that has loads of potential for the future. Even without proper utilization, it's still helpful right now for 2 of the best characters in the entire game. However, she's a niche and her numbers don't jump off the paper. The real strength of this character is getting to use the skill of your best character again. Her buffs are a bit lesser as a result of that, but I feel like this is a concept that goes over people's heads entirely. There's no flashy numbers or way to replace other good characters, so people hate it and call her a minor upgrade that's not worth it. I want you all to know, I don't even like Ceridra, yet I feel the need to defend her. I just don't understand. Generalized versus niche characters is another whole concept I hope to cover someday, because it is so closely tied to what side grades are. They often aren't very general purpose characters as we've seen, which already places them in a bad spot. It allows the gates for comparison, which leads to jealousy for people who can't pull amongst other things. All of this to say, Ceridra is a good character. She is a top option for Anexa and Finan, and as these characters continue to age, I think players will see more and more how useful she truly is. So, what did we learn today? I mean, besides that I may have a bone or two to pick with certain parts of the HSR community, we learned that side grades are often far more than they appear. Cypher and Black Swan exist as extremely popular characters who consistently appear on good teams with amazing clear rates. Jiaoqiu was a pivotal piece to one of the historical best characters in the game for about a year, only being usurped recently, and not even in every area. Lingsha? Yeah, I don't know what to say about Lingsha. Seriously, how did she become a DPS? And Ceridra still has plenty of time to show what she's capable of as the game continues to grow and evolve. Also, I'm calling it now, there's going to be a 4.0 DPS who absolutely requires Ceridra, and people are going to be pissed. Thank you all so much for watching, I really do appreciate it. I apologize if my voice was a bit off, I've been sick for a few days now, so I think mid-recording, my voice changed because I got slightly more energy. I hope that doesn't come up too much on in the editing process. Anyway, this is a video I wanted to make for ages, but could never find the time or words for it. Many of these characters are some of my favorites, so it feels good being able to get some nice words out about them, even if many of them didn't really need it. Tell me in the comments below, which of these characters were you the most surprised by, or do you feel there are any that I missed? Who knows, we may even be able to get another video for this concept. With that said, I've got plenty more good videos coming out soon, so I'll see you guys then. Bye bye!